Okay, so thank you everyone for coming tonight on the 5:30 on a Sunday. I'm sure I appreciate everyone coming and hearing my training. So this is going to be mostly it's going to be a mix of a refresher course / maybe giving some new information to some people to try to help get everyone on the same page about using Zoom, using Mobilize, and then maybe working on some outreach tips and ideas. I have some ideas about how to do outreach, and then afterwards, if anyone else has any other ideas they would like to contribute, we can have like a little roundtable discussion. So I will get started. Okay, can everyone see that?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, let's start. So YDSC Chair Officer Training and how to use Zoom, Mobilize, and outreach practices. So our goals, like I said earlier today, our goals will be to become more comfortable scheduling meetings using Zoom, how to be more confident in using Mobilize, and to develop outreach practices and strategies. So first, we'll get into how to use Zoom, which in the last year or so has become a very popular way to conduct meetings. And so we'll just do a quick rundown on how to schedule a Zoom meeting, how to do a couple different things, like you can schedule reoccurring Zoom meetings, which I feel is something some people might not know. So first and foremost, you have the sign-in page, and YDSC has their own personal Zoom account that you can use. We have given each of the chairs the password and login the email address and password to log in and use it. And if I can resend it out in case in case some people don't have it. So you would use that login and password to log into our account. And then on the left side, you would see that you have different tabs. You have the meetings tab. And so under the meetings tabs, you can see all the different scheduled meetings when they're scheduled. And if you want to schedule a meeting, you go to the right side and press schedule a meeting. And so first, once you do that, you put the topic of your meeting, the title of it. You would choose when you want your meeting to be, the time, and the duration. I usually set for about an hour, but if you go over an hour, it's not going to kick you out. And then the next thing, the important thing, is going to be the reoccurring meeting section, which I have set for, which I have the little gold stars by. So when you do a reoccurring meeting, you can set it for basically different occurrences. You can do daily, weekly, monthly. And if you do any of those, you can have it up to 7 occurrences. So like when you set a reoccurring meeting, you can use that same Zoom link to give to everyone. It'll be set for however long you set it. So if you want to do a weekly Zoom meeting, you can have it repeat every how many weeks. You can set it for how many days in the week or which day of the week you want it. So if you set it on a Tuesday, it would be good for pretty much every Tuesday for as long as you want, up to like 7 occurrences. The one I particularly like, and I like chapters using, is the monthly one. So what you can do is you can set it to reoccur monthly. You can repeat it if you were so under the repeat every, it's like 1 month. It'll be like every month it'll repeat. If you do it every 2 months, it'll do every like 2 out of 4 months, and so on and so forth. So if you want to do, if you do like your chapter meetings like every first Monday of the month, you can do monthly, 1 month. You can choose, and then you can pick the day of the month, or you can choose like first, second, third, fourth Sunday, or any of the days of the week, and then you can set it for however long you repeat, which means that you could set a Zoom meeting from like now till like May if you really wanted to. Does anyone have any questions so far? All right. And so then after you do that, you can set security passcode if you want. I usually don't. You can just unclick that check mark. Then on the waiting room section, usually how we set it up, you you have a waiting room and they have to wait for people to be added. And then they have a whole bunch of other different options I usually don't touch too often. And then you press save. At the bottom, you press save. And then that should set your meeting. And so then when you go back to the meeting tab, like you saw earlier, you can click on your meeting. Then all you have to do is press start and you can start your meeting. You can run it. Just wanted to make sure that I don't have anyone waiting. Oh, we got Catherine waiting. Okay. 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 So next, moving on, is how to use Mobilize. So Mobilize is an event used to, you can create events, different types of events, and then you can use it as a great way to get your, get it out there to a larger audience. The way YDSC has their Mobilize set up is that we have our own, it's like connected to the South Carolina Democratic Party, but it's also separate. So there's two different Mobilizes. You can look at the state party Mobilize or Young Democrats Mobilize. And so we have set it up so like each chapter gets their own link, and you can like make your meetings that way. And by doing that, it'll get onto both the SCDP and the YDSC Mobilize. Just as an example, this is a screenshot of what the YDSC Mobilize looks like. You can kind of see like all the different events from, you know, chapter meetings to our membership forums, interest in our high school and college caucuses. And then if you go to the SCDP one, you can kind of see that also YDSC stuff is on there as well. So it allows people from around the state to see what we're doing, and allows people to come kind of see and sit in on our meetings if we wanted to. So to set up a meeting is, so the link at the top, I'll make sure everyone gets a copy of this PowerPoint so you have access to it. The link at the top is a list of all the different chapter and caucus Mobilize links. And so when you click on it, it just sets up the basic information where you set up the event title, the event type. It'll have sort of, there'll be a drop-down box. You can choose meeting. I think it also has like a phone bank, Canvas, a bunch of different options. And then you can put a description in. And then I would leave it always as public, because if you don't put it as private, then it's harder for more people to see. And then the location, you can set an in-person versus virtual. And so in person, if you choose an in-person meeting, you would have to put where the location is, which they have a little like GPS finder so they can find like the address. So if, like Central Midlands, for example, uses Wico Beer Garden and Brewery or whatever it's called. And so you can put that address in, it'll pop up and it'll show the sign ups, how to get there. There's a date and time section where, you know, obviously you put the date, start time, end time, and then communications, it's a requirement. You have to put the event contact number for whoever is in charge of the meeting. So if you do virtual, it's kind of the same thing, except you don't have to put a location, but you do have to put the video call link. So if you make a Zoom meeting link, you would put the Zoom link into the video call link section. And so that means that when people sign up for Mobilize, it'll send you an email saying that click here to join the event, which will basically just take you to Zoom. So it's basically the same way as giving someone the Zoom link. So if you're going to run a meeting using Mobilize, you have to remember to start your Zoom meeting first so that everyone who's using the Mobilize to join it can join your Zoom meeting, if that makes sense. And then there's also communications. Then again, you would put your event contact. And then there's also some accessibility options you can include if it's an in-person meeting. And then at the end, you would put your first and last name to let people know who's hosting the event. You can add a co-host if you would like. So it would give people another option to reach out to you if someone else is helping you. And then all you have to do is press host this event, and that would kind of pop up. And it will have your meeting all set up. It'll have a little link to like help people sign up. You can share that link. And one of the things I like about Mobilize is that it keeps track of your signups and their contact info. So when someone signs up, it will take down their phone number. It can take down their phone number and email and their name, and kind of gives you a whole bunch of data. It's a great way of keeping, and it also sends out like reminder emails for signups for the meeting. So if like you're hosting an event, it'll let you know when someone new signs up for your event. It'll also send a reminder email to the signups to remember to come to this meeting. So it kind of like does a lot of like reminding for you and makes things easier. And it does a nice job of like reaching out and like expanding the reach of people who can find about your meeting. So for example, from August, September, and October, my chapter, Sumter Clarendon, had 46 signups. Aiken had 48, Central Midlands at 34, and the YDSC Progressive Caucus at 33. And, you know, without the mobilized links, I know for a fact, like Sumter Clarendon would be probably in the teens if you're just using like your own personal Facebook page or something like that to try to get the info out about your meetings. It's a smaller audience compared to Mobilize. And I also just find like sharing Mobilize links is really easy as well. So any questions on that?
Oh, hey, Kevin.
Yes.
So the number of signups we've gotten over the last 3 months on Mobilize, is that like unique signups?
Yes.
Impressive.
Yeah, that's unique signups.
So I have a quick question.
Yes.
For Mobilize, as me being chair, am I the one that has to set it up, or could like, my vice chair do it if I wasn't going to be able to make it to the meeting?
Your vice chair can do it.
Okay.
We just give all the information out to the chair, but if like, for example, you can't make the meeting or whatever, you can delegate that to like your vice chair or whoever to do it as well.
Okay.
Which is why I was inviting all the other chapter officers to come as well, so like everyone can kind of learn how to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easier to delegate and like spread the work out for everyone.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Kevin,
Yes.
it's Dylan. You set up our Mobilize for Central Midlands. Is that same login information unique to Central Midlands or just for the entire Mobilize for Young Dems?
So the way the Mobilize is set up is there's a unique sign in for like our main account that like I think Jenny, Samuel, and I have, which is kind of how I set yours up. But I think there's like rules to like how we can do the Mobilize, so we can't give like the general login to everybody, which is why we made the individual links for the different chapters. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I was just thinking ahead, like if we got to the place where we wanted to do that in-house so that you didn't have to create it for us every time. But if you're comfortable still creating it, then I guess we can keep it that way.
Yeah, I can still help out with that.
Okay.
But if you have like a special event you want to make and you just want to make a quick link, you can use that Google Doc that should have like the Central Midlands link and it have all set up for you already.
Okay, great.
Any other questions? Okay. So next is outreach. And so one of the things that I want to focus on is kind of like going over the basics of how to do outreach, like mostly about how to do like emails, how to like talk to people, what to say to people, along with trying to develop some strategies on where to look, because I feel one of the things, like my experience with like it's the South Carolina Democratic county parties, is that there's a lot of opportunities that go on there's a lot of opportunities that they pass on that we could be using to reach a broader audience. And that's something I would like to change. So why is outreach important? Well, simply put, outreach grows your organization, helps you find new members, volunteers, potential candidates for office, or potential people who want to be officers in your own chapters. And so it's always looking for opportunities is the way I look at it. For example, like we have our YDSC general sign-up list. You can do county party meetings, festivals, local events, campaign events. I feel campaign events are a really good way of finding new people because, at least in my experience, like a lot of people get excited about a candidate more than they do with like your local Democratic Party. And it's a good way of like bringing in new people. And so like I've had been going to a bunch of Joe Cunningham events, seeing who's there and trying to talk to young people, trying to get involved with YDSC, because a lot of them, like they'll recognize Joe Cunningham, but they probably haven't heard of the Young Democrats of South Carolina. And you can also include like high school Democrats, college Democrats, and just like different events. Like I know yesterday I was tabling an event for the Sumter Clarendon Young Dems at the Battle Buddies obstacle course. It was an event hosted by the Palmetto Optimist Club, and it was just like an event for kids. And it was a good way to get our name out there and give back to the community. We gave some free gift bags out to kids, and it was just a good way of just giving back to the community and like letting people who might not know that we're there know we're there. And I also know that, like, for example, I saw an opportunity, which unfortunately I couldn't make it, but like Kershaw County Library was having a roll con next weekend, which is just like a tabletop board game event. And so like that would be a potentially good opportunity for doing like voter registration, just stuff like that, like trying to like look at different events and thinking outside the box of like maybe these are people we can reach, and especially if they're just looking for like a paid vendor table, like it can't hurt. And so when you're kind of going up to someone new, I introduce myself. I say, I'm Kevin Eckert. I'm with the Young Democrats of South Carolina. And usually I'll try to tell them like things I like about YDSC, why YDSC is great, or why my chapter is great. And they'll ask, would this be something you're interested in? And a lot of people will say yes. I mean, especially if you're doing like a campaign event, people will be interested. And so if they are interested, then make sure you get their email and phone number. I usually like to make sure, like if you're talking about what your chapter does, make sure, you let them know when your meetings are. Kind of like let them know how accessible it is, how easy it is to join your chapter. And of course, the last bullet point being is make sure someone actually reaches out to them and follows up. Like that's something I would like to see more of. I know that kind of slips through the cracks, but it's like follow-up is very important, as is also having meetings and like making sure people posted, making it easier for people to know what's going on. And then another thing we're doing with our YDSC signups is people sign up, and then so first you would thank them for their interest in joining. What I like to do is I like to let people know when the chapter's next meeting is. I give them what their social media information, and always make sure to mention how excited you are for them to join, because people are more likely to join if you're more welcoming and friendly, like you want them to join. And of course, I think a key thing too is being patient, because sometimes like life happens, things go on, and sometimes it takes a little while for people to join. Like I know some people I've gotten involved in my chapter, took several months of just like kind of reminding them, hey, we got this going on, hope to see you there, and then they'll finally get involved. And that was it. That was it for my PowerPoint. Yes, Emily.
Hey, sorry I can't be on camera. I'm out with my dog, but outreach, I just want to I know you bolded it and put it in red. Following up is so important. remember the first time that you signed up for YDSC and how nervous or apprehensive you might have been to not know anybody. But these people are eager, and I can't tell you how many times we get a follow-up email from people who are interested saying like, hey, I still haven't heard from the chapter that you connected me with. Like, is everything okay? And in that same breath, those of you that have access to Vote Builder, this is something that Charles was working on before he left us, was you can easily search up within your county people that fall within the age range for YDSC. Therefore, like, you can look up that information. You could do a postcard drive, you could do a phone bank one day, and just call those folks, because I don't know about you, but here in Beaufort County, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of people under the age of 40 that identify as Democrats. And then when I logged on to Vote Builder, there were like 400, and that's just from who was registered in Vote Builder. So great place to start if you're looking to build numbers. It might seem tedious and annoying, but once you get 3 or 4 people on board, then you can start delegating things to people. I know as chapter chairs, or if you're on the board, it can be a little overwhelming, all the things that you have to do, but the more people you have involved in your chapter, then the less you actually have to do and can delegate out. So that's my soapbox, and I'll get off it, but thank you.
No, thank you very much, Emily.
I
Yeah, the
have
thing-
a follow-up question real quick on what Emily said. How do us chairs that don't necessarily have access to the Vote Builder get access to Vote Builder?
I believe I think Jenny is the one who is supposed to be able to give you access to it. I can get
Okay.
with you. I know there's also rules for who can have
Because
access.
I don't know, coming in the Spartanburg Cherokee chapter, I know Harak had spoken about Vote Builder, but I was never like formally given any kind of like login or access to Vote Builder. So I didn't know who to like ask. Because quite honestly, I feel like if I was able to get access to Vote Builder, that would help my chapter get a little more active, I guess you could say, because there's more people to reach out to versus just waiting for people to hear about us.
Mhm. Yeah, I will definitely get you in contact with Jenny about that.
Okay.
And does anyone else have any questions, or like, does anyone else have any ideas? Like, do any of you know like anything that you've done that has worked particularly well? Because I know the thing about outreach is that it kind of varies from county to county. Like I know like some rural, more Republican counties, like outreach can be harder if you don't have the high schools or the colleges to really reach out to the way like some of the bigger counties have.
I know that I've had a lot of signups through doing the vote builder thing, sign up thingy, but I have not done my due diligence to reach out to those people, and I did not realize that those people may be waiting on a reach out from me as a chapter chair. So whoops, my bad, but thank you for the info. Given that some of these people have had such a long time, like what can I do maybe to pick up the pieces, or did you give us a template? I don't remember. I'm sorry, I'm a dork. About a good outreach email, or maybe you said you put that up there or something. Anyway, I hope this is a cogent question. It is rambly AF, and I apologize. Today has been a day.
So usually when we get like a YDSC sign up, either Emily or I will like send them an email and like kind of try to give them when the next chapter meeting is, and like try to direct them to whoever is in charge of the chapter. And so some chapters, like they already have like a chapter email set up and some don't. And so we're trying to kind of like streamline that a little bit.
So in y'all's head, the ideal process for this would look like, and I guess you probably already sort of did that with your presentation, but like, it looks like we see that somebody has signed up and then we send them a message we've already made in a vein of something, and like,
Yeah.
so those emails really help. Like, I just I guess I'm surprised somehow because I just feel like I'm inundated with emails. So like, whoopsie doodle on my part. And
Yeah,
I
so
find, yeah, so my bad. Go ahead. Continue on. My bad.
Yeah, so I usually have sort of like a form emails. I also like to use text too. I think text works. So like my text would be like, hey, this is Kevin from YDSC. I saw you're interested in joining the Sumter Clarendon Young Democrats. I was just letting you know we have a meeting coming up on blah 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 date. Let me know if you can make it. We'd love to see you there.
I'm tangentially related, but if anybody's like tech savvy, I am not. I am like tech grandma over here. But if there's like a survey somebody could create, like which would you rather do? In-person meetings? What are you interested in doing with young Dims? X, Y, and Z, like so that we could better utilize people. Do people respond to surveys, or are we just like making people take extra time to not get any feedback? I'm just trying to do better, and I feel like my outreach blows. So
I'm not sure about surveys. I'm not sure if maybe like new signups would want to do a survey. Just because I guess from my personal experience, I feel like a lot of people, like not everyone who says they want to join is actually going to join.
there's
I
just
guess.
enough people on my Facebook page that I feel like I should utilize it better, and somehow like I like for the amount of people who have signed on, I don't feel I have the engagement that warrants the numbers. And I don't know if anybody else is experiencing this, but that is my issue at the moment.
I mean, if you're talking about just like your own, like the Aiken Young Dem Facebook page, I would absolutely do a survey on there and just see who responds and see what people have to say about it.
Thank you very much. I think I've got some. Yeah. Thanks.
So one thing the Young Dems of Spartanburg and Cherokee have, the Spartanburg side of things, we have partnered with our county party as they do a weekly newsletter. I don't know if every Young Dems chapter does this, but kind of, reaching out to your county party, see if they do a newsletter. And, our county party chair has agreed to put our meetings out in the newsletter to kind of help get membership up. That is always an option that I would recommend everybody looking into as far as like trying to get outreach, possibly, working with your county party to have them implement you somehow in their newsletter.
I have one suggestion that might be helpful. There's a lot of good Facebook groups that build a lot of community. That's actually one way I plan on reaching out soon and trying to find new members, because of some of the like Facebook group, it's like liberal and progressive families in the area, and they really do pull together and will do things for each other and everything. So I think they're a good group. I know some of the people will be out of the age range, but there's definitely a lot of people in our age group in those groups.
Oh, that's a really good idea. I actually forgot to mention that too. Like I'm a part. There is a lot of South Carolina Democratic Facebook groups. There's a lot of them are just regional. A lot of them are kind of like the county party, but there's also just like some general ones. And then also depending on where you are, like there might be like some local community Facebook groups as well that I like to join. So you can kind of keep an eye on what's going on in your community, and maybe you can find some people that way as well.
I have
Kevin.
a suggestion. Oh,
Sorry. Actually, I was wondering if you could show everyone how to pull up signups on Mobilize. So we get like either pull up the CSVs themselves, or to see what those what that captured data is, so we can reach out.
Yeah, I can do that. I think it takes a little bit. So like you have to go to Mobilize and request an email. They'll send you like an Excel sheet. So Dylan wants to ask this question. I can go do that quickly.
Right.
Well, I have a suggestion and a question. So my suggestion would just be something that we've done at Central Midlands that's been really helpful. And I know that this might not be as feasible for every chapter, depending on your size and how involved folks are, but we have a membership chair that serves on our exec team within the chapter. And so that person is responsible for receiving the emails from YDSC and getting the information of people who are interested and reaching out to them. So it's just having one person in your chapter that's kind of dedicated to monitoring those interested parties and reaching out to them and getting them plugged in. And it just, it makes it for one different person that's having to get all those emails, and because all of our email boxes are cluttered, but also being responsible for reaching out. And they kind of become the point person to help new people walk through the process. I'm not claiming that we've done that perfectly because we've had some turnover and things like that. But overall, it's been really helpful to have one person that's kind of dedicated to that. And then something else that we are starting in January is quarterly. We'll do new members train. I don't think we're going to call it that, like orientation or training, something. And it just kind of, we already offer that with YDSC and kind of the big picture stuff, but more specific to our chapter. Like, here are the committees that you can join. Here is our objective and our mission and what we're trying to accomplish. Here are our goals for this year. So just trying to get them plugged into those things too. I apologize, by the way, I'm losing my voice and I don't know why. So I sound like a groggy frog, but anyway, so those are just some ideas. But on that note, and Kevin, I can talk to you about this offline if I need to, but because we've had some turnover with who that person was, and just 2020 in general, do you guys happen to have like the entire list of people who have reached out to you all that you've sent to us, say since 2020, so that we could kind of cross check and make sure that we haven't missed anybody?
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I got that somewhere. It's on some spreadsheet somewhere. I can get that over to you and Jana.
Okay, that'd be great.
So Davida, you had your hand up?
Oh, thanks, Kevin. Excuse me, I'm trying to bring my daughters here. So I wanted to first and foremost thank Kevin and Emily. I have really appreciated you guys sending names my way. It's definitely worked for me, the emails that you send. I've reached out personally to both of them. I think one was Lisa, one was Sarah, and they've also, because they're in that mid 30s range, they've also started helping with the actual county party too. So thank you so much for sending those names to me. Something I've done also is I'm a precinct chair. So just like Emily mentioned with Vote Builder, I look and see who's under 40 in my precinct and I reach out to them. I haven't gotten a huge response from it, but I have gotten some interest. So maybe they'll be more interested when maybe August rolls around in 2022 and we start, really beating the streets. They'll hop on board. But that's something else that you could do. And you can also reach out to your county party and see if you can get the information for the precinct you live in to see who's in under 40 in your precinct. Also, I have reached out to different Facebook pages, being a part of the Democratic Women Council of Horry County as well. That has helped with gaining young people's interest in just being politically active. So please reach out to your other clubs that are in your area. Reach out to your county party, of course. And thank you for mentioning that newsletter. I'm on the communications team for the county party, and I didn't even think about the newsletter. So thank you. I'm going to definitely tell them, request that they put us on their newsletter now. But yeah, those are some of the things that I've been doing here at the Grand Strand.
Awesome, thank you. And Katerina.
I brain farted with what I was gonna. Oh, yes, that's the question. Okay, so like my one thought perhaps was maybe doing a get together at my house, but I don't know if that's like safe or not. So like thoughts, please. Should I probably not? What do we just, like? I don't know. It's yep.
Yeah, we could look into that. Okay, so I got the mobilize thing
Cool.
all up. Okay. So once your once your mobilize event is made, I'm using the election night watch party. We'll have at the top the mobilize link, so you can copy and paste that into all your event onto like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, and it'll like kind of lead people to your event. And so at the bottom, it shows how many people registered, how many people confirmed, and you can export the signups. So it'll send it to you as a Excel sheet. Ours is set up to go to like our general Go YDSC Gmail, which I believe from there you can request the signups. We can get that, and then we can just get emailed over to you. Since trying to add people to the Go YDSC email is a giant pain. But anyway, so this is what the Excel sheet will look like. It'll show you the affiliated organization. It'll tell you kind of like how they found your meeting. Like sometimes they'll say Facebook, Twitter, Mobilize. It'll say if they attended, if they fill that out, donations, and it gives everyone. And it keeps track of all the signups, emails, event ID, the event name, organization, the event type. Gives you a whole lot of information. It'll give you first name, last name, the person's phone number, whether they rated positively, the referral. I think, yeah, referral is actually how they found it, whether they found it on Facebook. Someone found it using an Android app on Google. And yeah, it'll just like kind of give you like a wide range of like who signs up, gives you their contact information, and how they also found it as well, which I think is kind of cool. Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Well, nothing. I think. Well, then that's all I got for this training. I will stop the recording.